Vegas, let's go Las Vegas, let's go Las Vegas. Welcome to Let's Go Las Vegas. I'm your host, Ben Mauro, and today we're going to talk about all the exciting things that go on in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. The show that you have to see this week is the Sammy Hagar Best of Both Worlds Tour. This is basically Sammy singing the Van Halen catalog, all the songs that he made popular with Van Halen, and some that he wasn't on, but he's performing. It is a great show. As locals here in Las Vegas, my wife Marilyn, our best friend Paul, we try to go to as many shows as we can. And we actually saw this show last year when they came, and it was great, but this year was even better. If you are a guitar player, or if you love guitar, or you love classic rock music, don't miss this show. It was unbelievable. Of course, you got Sammy Hagar, one of the best singers ever, great guitar player. You got the premier rock instrumental guitar player right now, Joe Satriani, who is amazing. He's playing the Van Halen catalog. It is something to see and something to hear. You have Michael Anthony playing bass, who was the original bass player in Van Halen. He was great. What a great player. Amazing vocals. There's a guy named Ray Thistlethwaite, an Australian guy, playing keyboards and guitar. He did a great job. And the unbelievable Kenny Aronoff on drums. So you don't want to miss this show. It was something special. It's at the Park Theater, which is a great theater. I've actually played that theater many times. I play guitar in Cher's band, and we've done many shows there. Sometimes it's a little weird for me to be watching from the audience on a big stage that I've played on, but the Park Theater was so nice, and we just had a great time. That whole area over there, you come out after the concert, there's just so many things to do. So much great food and drinks and entertainment everywhere. It's just a great place to visit in Las Vegas. I would really recommend it. Now, this show had a lot of cool things going on, and maybe some things you might have missed if you're not a guitar player. But, guitar is ever evolving, and at the forefront of modern guitar is Joe Satriani. He's unbelievable. I'm a huge fan of his. I have been for many, many years. He has all kinds of wild techniques and all kinds of things that you've never heard a guitar do before. Now, of course, Eddie Van Halen was the originator of a lot of these wild techniques. And, at the time when Eddie Van Halen came out, he had these wild techniques, and everybody just associated with him. Even though he wasn't the first to do it, but he really probably did it the best and made it like an iconic sound that really fit with him. Now, if you're not really familiar with it, what he really became famous for was he was an award-winning classical pianist when he was young, and I think he took that piano vibe and knowledge and brought it to the guitar, and instead of just picking the strings with this hand, he would take his right hand and play notes on the neck. Okay, so not just playing with the pick, but play notes on the neck. I'll give you a little idea about that. Okay, so great technique that really was associated with Eddie, and when he first came out and started doing that, he pretty much destroyed all the guitar players, okay? At the time, I was living in New Jersey, playing in hard rock cover bands at night and working in a guitar store during the day and teaching lessons. And everybody in the store wanted to sound like Eddie Van Halen. All my students, that's all they wanted to learn was Eddie Van Halen. And I think a lot of us, maybe not a lot of us, but I know myself, I tried to kind of move away from that and tried not to play like Eddie. Although at the time I really couldn't play like him anyways, but I wanted to sound unique. So I remember I actually traded two of my Ibanez guitars in and got a Stratocaster and kind of studied Stevie Ray Vaughan and the blues a little bit more. And I saw Joe Satriani in an interview about this tour. He said that he purposely never learned any Van Halen songs because he didn't want to sound like Eddie. He didn't want to be, caught in that thing of, if you're playing these techniques, you just sound like Eddie. So he learned all these techniques and came up with some of his own, I believe. And he right now, I believe, is the one that really, uses all these techniques the best. cool thing, at least for me as a guitar player, is kind of like that Eddie sound, that Eddie technique. Now it's been a long time since he first came out like that, and it's kind of free to everybody now to use those techniques and further the amazing sounds of the guitar. Now, of course, the tapping thing, it was, you know, big with Eddie, and Joe does it great. One of the other things is the whammy bar. So the whammy bar, if you don't know, is this bar that's attached to the guitar, and usually you press down on it and the note goes down. Okay, so you got the dive bomb. Okay, so it just goes down. Now you can kind of make it go up if you go down first. Okay, but you have to go down to go up. But the new school guitars, like Joe Satriani uses, they have a little cutout back here in the body, so you can pull the whammy bar up. Okay, so you can make these notes go up into the sky, and he does all these crazy notes. So if you go to the concert, you can get to see him pulling up on the whammy bar and doing these amazing notes that really, guitar player, nobody has done before. Now, he's not the only one that does it, but I think he does it the best, and he's really made it part of his sound. Another cool thing that you're going to see if you go to the concert is part of his hot rodded guitar. He has a guitar pickup, which is the piece here that, you know, the strings vibrate and then it goes into the amp and we get that sound. He has a pickup called a Sustainiac, where it has a battery in it, so that if you have that pickup on and you hit a note, that note will ring forever. It will, usually on a regular guitar, the note's gonna die out like that. But his, when he hits a note, it will ring forever. And there was a part in one of the songs where in the end, he's just pulling up on the whammy bar all the way and holding it, and Sammy's singing, and he held the note for like 30 seconds or something, and it was like, you know, regular guitar couldn't do that. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome thing that if you go to the concert, you're gonna see. Another thing that Satriani kind of, I believe, maybe it was Randy Rhoads from Ozzy Osbourne that did it first, but instead of tapping with just your finger, Joe Satriani uses his pick to tap on the string. Kind of sounds like this. Okay, so he can play little melodies. And it's really a sound that nobody has used before, like Satriani does it. So again, you're gonna see some amazing things from Joe. And I think one of the cool things about this show is that you get to see Sammy play guitar, which is like old school guitars, you know? Not the whammy bar, not the Sustainiac pickup. I think he used a Gibson Explorer for most of the show. And to hear the contrast between the old school guitars and a modern guitar, it was so cool to hear the two sides, like Joe Satriani taking a solo after Sammy Hagar took a solo on one of his songs. You know, it sounds so cool, and it's something you don't want to miss. It's like the best of both worlds, the old school guitar and the new school guitar, and two of the best to ever do it. So again, I really recommend you check out this show. Another cool thing that I noticed that probably maybe many people in the audience didn't notice is that Sammy Hagar was not wearing in-ear monitors. Okay, neither was Michael Anthony, the bass player. It's kind of wild because nowadays, almost every concert you go to, everybody is wearing these in-ear monitors, okay? It's little, you know, custom fit monitors that go in your ear, then you have a belt pack, and then there's a guy backstage who's dialing up what you can hear. But the thing about it, you know, they go right in your ear, so you don't hear anything. Even if someone's talking to you right next to you, you won't even hear it. So in a way, it's really like everybody on stage is wearing headphones. And, you know, they do this to try to make the sound perfect and to try to control it a little bit more. But, you know, I think sometimes you do lose a little bit of the vibe with everybody on headphones. And one of the weird things, if you ever got a chance to walk on one of those stages, like one of the big pop shows or even rock shows, the stages are super quiet. You don't even hear anything. I mean, it's like silent on the stage. It might be loud out in the arena, but it's silent. All you hear is like the snare drum. Everything else is just going, you know, off stage. There's usually no guitar amps on stage anymore. There's usually no amplifiers. With Lionel Richie, I had a isolation cabinet. So I had a speaker cabinet, but it had to be put in like a box and off stage somewhere. So you can't hear it, you can only hear it in the ears, but at least it was a speaker cabinet. But the Sammy Hagar show, you know, Sammy doesn't have in-ears. He's got vocal monitors on the floor, which is putting back, you know, anything he wants to hear. The monitor engineer, again, is going to kind of put it in there. But it's loud. I mean, I'm sure that stage is loud. You know, he was running, Sammy was running all over the stage, and there's monitors everywhere, so his voice would be loud everywhere on the stage. And a lot of times they don't have guitar amps on stage anymore, and Joe had like a 412 cabinet kind of pointed sideways, so I'm sure that was loud, but kind of going sideways so it didn't go right into the audience and really nail the people in the audience. You know, that's the way it used to be in the old days, you know, before these in-ear monitors became so popular. You know, it was more of a party because it's almost like you're part of the concert and you're hearing everything live. You're hearing the audience scream and stuff. When you have these in-ear monitors, a lot of times what they do is they set up a microphone somewhere near the audience so you can hear the audience reaction. Without that microphone, you finish the song, and even if people are clapping and screaming, you don't hear it because you have, you know, headphones on. It's really weird. So the Sammy show was so fun because it was really like a live rock show. The band is hearing it live. Everybody's experiencing it kind of the same way. So that's something to kind of notice. Another thing, you know, we saw this show last year, and it was great, but this one was even better. It seemed like the guys were having so much fun. And my personal thought on why that is because of Kenny Aronoff, the drummer. Kenny is unbelievable. I was lucky enough to get to work with Kenny. I played with Kenny in the John Fogerty band. We did a tour of Australia together, played the Beacon Theater a couple times, played, you know, a lot of shows in the US. And Kenny is just so much fun to be around. I mean, he's the most professional musician I think I ever worked with, and also maybe the most hilarious. He's amazing. He's amazing. You got to check him out. So don't miss this show, okay? I think it's here for another 2 more weeks. If you love rock and roll, you love guitar, love drums, love real music, this is a show to see. You got to check it out. All right, this has been Let's Go Las Vegas. I hope you enjoyed it. Check in next time. I'm going to have lots more exciting things to tell you that's going on in Las Vegas. Let's go Las Vegas, let's go Las Vegas, let's go Las Vegas.